Good morning, everyone. Okay, it is 9 o'clock. My name is Amanda Seals. I'm the Executive Vice President for Advocacy and Government Relations at the Cobb Chamber. Welcome to today's webinar. We're going to get started right away as we are recording, and I want to go ahead and be mindful of everyone's time. So I'll turn this over to our chairwoman, Lisa Cupid.
Thank you, Amanda, and hello, everyone. It's good to have you here with us as we have this wonderful opportunity to help share with you our initiative for improving how we address stormwater here in our county. We know that it will impact you as a business, and I am grateful for the Chamber for their partnership in helping to educate you about that impact. We have two trusted individuals from our water system here today with our director, Alicia Giddens, and former director, Judy Jones. And I know that you will be in good hands with any questions that you may have. Well, thank you again for being here, and thank you, Cobb Chamber, for the partnership, and thank you to our staff with Cobb County Water System.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sharon Mason, Cobb Chamber President and CEO, and the Cobb Chamber and Select Cobb are honored to partner with Cobb County government on this webinar today and many other initiatives. And this is a great example of educating and providing opportunities for our community to know how to take advantage of some great things like the credit manuals and other new aspects of this. But we also greatly appreciate the Board of Commissioners and Cobb Water Department for your thoughtful approach around stormwater management. And that's critical for our infrastructure, critical for our businesses, for our citizens. And we really appreciate your thoughtful approach as well as input throughout the entire process as you looked at our stormwater utility and setting our county up for success. And we've got some great speakers for you today to help educate you on some of the implementation of the stormwater utility. And so with that, I'm going to turn to Cobb Chambers EVP Amanda Seals for next steps to run through the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Sharon. I'll be real brief. I sent this out to those who had registered ahead of time. This is the agenda. We are recording and the chat has been turned off. If you have a question when we get to the Q&A section, raise your hand on the team's icons, and we will unmute you for your question. Now I'm going to turn this over to Judy Jones, who many of you may know. She was with the county for 32 years and most recently the last 6 as our water director, but she is retired. But we're not letting her go yet. We're happy with her partnership as she is doing special projects with the county. And since she helped shepherd this through, we'd like her to go over the background and the benefits of the stormwater fees and the tax credit. The credits. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amanda, and good morning, everyone. I'm going to start with my first slide, a very broad overview of the water system services. Cobb Water started providing stormwater services in 1994. Our current service area is unincorporated Cobb in the city of Mableton. The cities within Cobb are responsible for their own stormwater systems, but the city of Mableton has contracted with Cobb Water to manage their stormwater system for them. So they have asked us to manage that and charge on their behalf. So we are responsible for compliance with the county's Phase 1 Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System permit requirements. This is a permit that is required by the state of Georgia and managed by the state. We provide plan review and zoning application analysis with respect to stormwater. We provide flood management. We maintain drainage pipes on residential property if the pipe is shown on the subdivision plat. And just for clarification, Cobb DOT maintains the pipes in the right-of-way. So they do the repairs in the right-of-way, and we do some repairs on residential property. So we currently charge for stormwater. A lot of our customers don't understand that we charge for stormwater, but we currently charge for stormwater through our water and sewer rates. The customers who receive stormwater services pay higher water and sewer rates than our customers who don't receive those services. While we took over stormwater in 1994, we waited until 1999 to establish in-city rates for reduced fees for customers inside city limits. So we provide water and sewer services for some customers in city limits. For example, all of the people who live in Ackworth and Kennesaw and Powder Springs are our customers, but we don't provide any stormwater services to those customers. So those customers have lower water and sewer rates so that they are not paying for the stormwater services. So the more water that a customer uses, the more he or she pays for stormwater. Customers with irrigation meters also pay for stormwater through their irrigation rates on the water used on the irrigation meters. So, and just want to share with everybody our water and sewer rates with comparison to the metro area. So this is just a chart that compares us to some other large counties in the area: Clayton, DeKalb, Douglas, Gwinnett, Paulding, and Atlanta. And our water and sewer rates, even with including the stormwater fee, is much lower than the other utilities. And out of these other utilities, City of Atlanta is the only one that uses water and sewer revenue to help fund stormwater. So the other counties, stormwater is funded completely separately. It's not part of their water and sewer rates. So I have two examples of how this works, how we charge for stormwater through our water and sewer rates. So our typical home in Cobb County has 3,700 square feet of impervious surface. That's kind of the median of all of our residential properties. And a typical home uses 5,000 gallons of water and sewer. So by using 5,000 gallons of water and sewer at our residential rates, a residential property would pay $2.34 a month for stormwater. A commercial example is a drugstore with 55,000 square feet of impervious that doesn't use much water, only uses 3,000 gallons of water and sewer, and that customer is only paying $1.56 a month for stormwater services. So why change our stormwater fee structure? First of all, we can't determine exactly how much stormwater revenue we bring in with our current fee structure because our residential rates are tiered rates. And the way that we book our revenue, we just book all of the revenue as one lump sum. So it's very difficult to determine exactly how much we bring in for stormwater each year. But we estimate that what we bring in does not cover our budget. So currently, the water system is receiving American Rescue Plan Act money from Cobb County for stormwater projects. And that's helping make up the difference between our current revenue and our current expenses in stormwater. Water use is not the best measure of a property's impact on the stormwater system. And we have approximately 7,000 properties in unincorporated Cobb that are not paying for stormwater services because they are not our customers. These are properties that receive water from the city of Marietta, the city of Austell, or the city of Smyrna, but their property is in unincorporated at Cobb. So because we cannot charge them water and sewer, we do not have a way to charge them for stormwater. Another reason to change the fee structures is we need more money in stormwater. We're getting a lot of pressure from the public to enhance services and to do more to address flooding. We also need additional funding to catch up and keep up with repairs. We're very far behind on stormwater repairs. We're having a hard time keeping up. And we'd like to transition from being reactive to repairs to being proactive and doing some proactive maintenance on our pipes. And finally, we will need additional regional detention facilities in the future. We built a couple quite a few years ago. But with the pressure from the public on the impact of stormwater and flooding in Cobb County, we're going to need to start looking at additional regional detention facilities in the future. So a fee based on impervious area, I'm going to explain what that is. And I'd like to share that there are more than 60 stormwater utilities in Georgia that already charge a fee for stormwater based on square footage of impervious surface on the property. Cobb County Water System's rate based on impervious surface will take effect June 1st. This will create dedicated funding for stormwater management program. which is very important because we're going to be able to ensure that the money that we collect for stormwater is set aside and just used for stormwater, and that we're not taking money that we brought in for water and sewer rates and using that for stormwater services. And that's important for our cities, for our customers that are in cities that don't receive those services, to make sure that their water and sewer rates aren't paying for a service that they are not receiving. So we will be charging all properties, residential, commercial, schools, churches, government, etc., as a monthly fee on the water bill. Residential properties will be charged a flat rate of $4.75 based on an equivalent residential unit of 3,700 square feet. So that's just saying that that's the basis of that 475 is equal to the charge for 3,700 square feet of impervious. And as I mentioned before, that is the median impervious surface for residential properties in Cobb. Non-residential properties will be charged based on the actual amount of impervious square footage on the property, calculated at $4.75 per 3,700 square feet of impervious. So a commercial property that has 20,000 square feet of impervious surface would pay $25.68 per month for stormwater under the new rate structure. So as I mentioned, that the cities in Cobb are responsible, other than Mableton, are responsible for their own stormwater systems. All of the cities in Cobb, except for City of Marietta, already charge a stormwater fee based on impervious. So this is not something that's new within Cobb. And also quite a few utilities around the metro area are charging a stormwater fee based on impervious. And our $4.75 falls right in line where other utilities are charging. We're higher than some, but lower than a little bit lower than most. So when we change this new fee structure, how is the bill going to change? We will be adding a stormwater fee line item to the bill, but we will also be reducing the water and sewer rates. So we'll no longer need to charge for stormwater through water and sewer. So the unincorporated water and sewer rates will go away, and they will be reduced to be the same as the in-city rates. So we have two examples here. The first example is the drugstore that I showed previously. And since they don't use much water, but they have a significant amount of impervious surface, their bill will change substantially. They'll see a slight reduction from the water and sewer fees, but since they don't use much water, that's a slight reduction. On the right is a fast food restaurant that uses a lot of water. So on this property, there's not as much of an increase by switching the way that we charge. Because they already use so much water, they're going to see a discount on a more significant discount on their water and sewer rates. So that one's just a slight increase, about 4% to that property. Next slide. Okay. So the stormwater fee, the rate was set at a level to not only cover our current budget, but to add additional needed funding. It will add $1.1 million for additional positions and equipment. This will allow us to hire crews to do some repairs with our own staff. Currently, all repairs are contracted out. It will also allow us to add more engineers and more project managers to get more projects out the door. It will also include $1.5 million to help Cobb DOT with repairs in the right-of-way. Cobb DOT primarily funds drainage repairs through SPLOST, and they do not have enough money in the SPLOST to cover all of the repairs, so they are in need of additional funding as well. $2 million will provide additional maintenance for water system detention ponds that we own and maintain. There will be $1 million for additional pipe repairs on residential property. There will be $1 million to help us address residential complaints of runoff from roads and upstream by maintaining the public influence zone of pipes. And this is a short section of open channel downstream of a public pipe. And it also will let us provide a limited amount of riprap to residential property owners for them to stabilize some of their open channels that are impacted by runoff from roads and upstream. And then finally, it will add $1 million to help us start funding future regional detention ponds. Regional detention ponds are very expensive to build, so we need to start saving money now so that we have money to build some in the future. So we have a lot of information on our website. If you go to cobbcounty.gov/stormwater funding, we have FAQs, we have a lot of information. We have also added an impervious surface map, which allows our customers to go in, type in their address in a search bar, pull up their property, see the impervious area, click on the impervious area, and see what the calculated rate is. The website includes a form to submit if the customer has questions about the impervious area shown for the property, if they don't think it's correct, or if they've done some changes to the property since we used this aerial photography. It's from a couple of years when we started working on this. So if something's changed to the property, they can submit that. There also is, if it wasn't added this morning, will be added very shortly to our website, an instructional video to show customers how to use this map. So it goes through exactly how to type in your address and how to use the form. In addition, on our website, we have a credit manual, which that explains that the opportunities that customers have to reduce their stormwater fee. Alicia Giddens will be covering that in the next section. So that is coming up. It will be a separate presenter. For now, I'm ready to take questions on anything I've submitted, and Alicia will take questions on the credit manual after she provides information on that.
So what we'll do, thank you, Judy, for that. We greatly appreciate it. What we'll ask is if someone wishes to ask a question about kind of that opening aspect of it, if someone just hit the raise hand button, and then I will call on them, and then Coleman will unmute you and enable you to ask your question, and the appropriate person with the water systems will respond. So we will go ahead and open it up for questions. Stephen Moon has raised his hand first. So Stephen. Oh, sorry.
There.
Once you are able to unmute yourself, you will have to manually unmute yourself after Coleman kind of enables that. So thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I saw on the illustration, the new funding funded additional positions and equipment, 1.1 million. Is there a accessible breakdown of that? Is it more staffing? Is it trucks, or is it plan review staff?
Yes, that was presented in detail in one of the work sessions that we did to the board. It's also listed on the agenda item that approved the fee. I don't think that the equipment is broken down, but the equipment includes like a mini excavator, utility trucks for utility crews. So part of the positions are crews for us to do repairs. And then some positions are for inspectors to go out and inspect stormwater infrastructure, and some positions are for project managers. But that information is, I mean, if you want to email us, it's public records. We can provide that to you.
All right, thank you.
Judy, I don't remember, was there any additional plan review staff for the water systems that was part of that to help the water systems also?
Yes, I believe so. Is that correct, Alicia?
Yes, there is a position for another engineer.
Right. That's what I remembered too. And I know some people in this group would love to hear about that, because in order to help with the permit time, the building permit time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from people on the webinar? Chris Wasserman.
Hey, good morning, everyone. First, thanks so much for putting this together. So when we talk about going from reactive to proactive and additional regional detention centers, can you give me an idea of where the biggest problems are in the county geographically, and maybe what district and where those additional regional detention centers might be?
So examples of going from reactive to proactive maintenance is getting out and lining pipes before they fail. So right now we wait until they fail and then we go in, repair them or replace them. But we would like to get out and to do more pre-active camera work of pipes throughout the county. And there's aging infrastructure throughout the county with respect to pipes. So for detention facilities, the primary areas where we are having issues with flooding and high flows are the Nickajack Basin, which is Smyrna and Mableton, and in Soap Creek in East Cobb. Those two creeks are really where we see a lot of flooding right now when it rains.
Thank you so much.
Any additional questions? All right, hearing none, we're going to hand the mic over to the current director of the Cobb County Stormwater Systems, Alicia Giddens.
Good morning. Everybody can hear me okay? All right. Thank you. I appreciate everybody joining us this morning to talk about this very important topic. I'm going to talk about the credit manual. I'm sure there are a lot of people that are interested in figuring out how they could save a little bit on their monthly fee. And I feel like we've put together a very robust credit program for Cobb County residents and residential properties and non-residential properties. So we're going to talk about those credits that that our non-residential properties will be eligible for. The maximum reduction is going to be 40%. There will be an option. This will be on a case-by-case basis for 50%. But I'm going to walk through this first section because I feel like this is going to be the one area of credits that's going to apply most to our non-residential properties. And it has to do with our Georgia Stormwater Management Manual, GSMM, Unified Stormwater Criteria. And just to go into a little detail about what the GSMM is, it is a guide for managing stormwater through sustainable development practices in Georgia. This manual provides technical standards, best management practices, and tools to help comply with water quality standards. So this credit is pretty standard across a lot of utilities that are offering credits. But for the stormwater criteria in the GSMM, it's broken down into 4 criteria. The first being stormwater runoff quality and reduction that reduces runoff through infiltration and evaporation. That would be eligible for 10%. The channel protection, which provides detention for the 1-year storm event. Overbank flood protection, controls peak discharge so that post-development peak rate does not exceed the pre-development, and that's for the storm events, the 2-year through the 50-year storm event. And then extreme flood protection, that provides the same but up to a 100-year storm event. So currently, all 4 of these criteria are required to meet the stormwater management standards by our code, by state requirements, by the North Georgia Metro Water Planning District. And the Cobb County adopted these requirements into our code in 2021. So we'll get into, on the next slide, we're going to get into a little bit about what's going to be required to submit to the county to be eligible for this credit. But the other component of this, which could allow some property owners to qualify for and exceeds GSMM standard, these are going to be things that go above and beyond what those 4 criteria are above. One thing that's very important to mention here is that to be eligible for this credit, we're going to require confirmation that these ponds are being maintained. So as we go into the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about what would be submitted. So if if you are a property owner that has a pond that was, or your development was approved January 2021 or later, we should have all of that information, and it should meet the criteria, because by code, we would have required it to meet all 4 of those criteria. So we would not require quite as much documentation as older ponds, but we would want to ensure that each facility is inspected and maintained in accordance with the maintenance agreement that you would have executed during the plan review process. And we would want documentation of any maintenance performed within the previous 12 months with date stamped photographs and the most recent inspection checklist. Again, just so we can ensure that those ponds are being maintained before we approve a credit for them. And we can move on to the next one. So if you are, if your facility was permitted prior to 2021, your pond may meet all of those criteria, but it may not. It just really depends on when it was approved. And so to ensure that we can approve that credit for you and to figure out which amount you can be approved for, we would want a hydrology report that's been prepared and signed and sealed by a Georgia PE. That may be, again, something that we already have, but if we don't, we would require that to be done and submitted to us. An as-built volume certification with the stage storage table. This is going to be more critical for older ponds that, you know, have maybe been, that over time they fill in with sediment. So they're not going to be holding the same amount of water that they were designed to hold. So we're going to want some verification that that it is holding what it was designed to hold. And again, we're going to require photographs, documents of the current conditions. And if we don't have a recorded maintenance agreement and access agreement, then we would want to execute that through this process. And then if there is a device that is being used to meet the water quality requirement criteria, these 4 items are things that we would ask that you submit to us through that application process. And moving on to the other credits that are available for non-residential properties, septic tank maintenance. That one is pretty simple. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of detail on these individual credits, but that just is what it implies. You're maintaining your septic tank, you can provide us documentation of that, then you're eligible for that credit. The impervious surface reduction, that one credit is eligible for the maximum of 40%. The way that we're calculating it is that there's a minimum of 10%. If you remove 10% or greater of impervious area from your property, up to 40%, you can will be eligible for a credit. On this one, it is a one-time credit though, because once you remove that surface, you get the 40%. And then moving on, the next time that we do a aerial, your stormwater fee is going to be reduced because you have less impervious. On this one, we would require that you submit the application to us in advance before taking any action to remove impervious. And because there may be permitting issues that have to be addressed before you do something like that. The next credit is the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, Industrial Stormwater General Permit Compliance. So as long as you can demonstrate to us as a facility that you are meeting the state requirements, you submit us a copy of your most recent annual report, then you are eligible for that credit. The low impact parcel credit, this is if your parcel is greater than 2 acres and you have a total impervious area of less than 10% on that 2-acre parcel, you would be eligible for that one. The next credit, watershed improvement project, that is also a one-time credit. But this is an incentive for property owners to allow us on your property through an easement if we have a project that needs to be completed, say it is to, project to improve water quality or stabilize a stream bank or provide some flood mitigation, and you're willing to work with us to provide that easement, then you would be eligible for this credit as well. We have a good example of that. We've got a project that we've been working with the Corps of Engineers up on Butler Creek. And sometimes it's difficult. People they don't want other folks on their property. So negotiating easements sometimes can be difficult. So this is an incentive for them to cooperate with us on that effort. And then the next two, the watershed stewardship and watershed education. So the watershed stewardship credit that is for hours of participation for your employees that maybe choose to come and participate in events that we hold here at the water system. And the types of eligible activities that we facilitate are storm drain marking, privet pole, stream cleanups. So if, say, your business wants to participate in a stream cleanup, they can contact our office. Our staff will help facilitate that cleanup. Your staff would be completing it, but our staff will help give you the tools that you need to do that and help you establish a site, just as an example. And watershed education, again, those are for different, what am I trying to say? The programs or workshops that we offer here to our customers. And there are, for the stewardship and the education, there is an option to participate in things that we don't offer, but we would just ask that you contact our office to get pre-approval before participating in those, to make sure that if you submit that to us as a credit, that we have already approved your participation in something not necessarily sponsored by us. If you're a school or a member-based organization, we do have toolkits that are available. Schools oftentimes do their own education for water quality or environmental purposes. So we can provide information that we've already vetted and approved in advance, and we can provide those toolkits to those schools or those member-based organizations. And then those are just offered at your facilities, and then you turn in proof that they've been conducted and can receive credit. And if there's any questions on any of those credits, obviously we can talk about it at the end. But moving on to the credit application and appeals process. The application is not available yet. You can see a copy of it in the credit manual that we have online on our website. You can see a copy of what that application looks like and all of the different documentation for each credit that will be required. But we anticipate opening up the application process in mid-May. We have a lot going on behind the scenes to implement the funding and getting our billing system set up. So we really need to get everything loaded and into the billing system before we start accepting a lot of applications and applying credits, just to make things clean and make sure that we don't miss anything. But as far as the application process itself, it will come into our office. Our team will review it. We will let you know within 60 days if it's been approved. If it has been denied, then we will give you an explanation as to why. And then if you do receive a credit, then we will make sure that those are applied to your account within 45 days of that approval. If you're denied for some reason for any particular credit, you do have the option to submit an appeal in writing to me within 30 days of that denial, and I will review and respond to that within 30 days. If you're still not happy with my decision, that you may appeal to the board of directors. And then after that, not the board of directors, I'm sorry, the board of commissioners. And then after that, the next appeal step would be the Superior Court of Cobb County. And before I move on to questions, there's a couple things I want to point out that I think are important. Credits will automatically expire at the end of the credit term. So there will not be an automatic renewal process. It will be the responsibility of the account holder to renew those permits and resubmit an application to us. And I definitely recommend that you do that in advance so that there isn't a lapse in your credit. And also, if the account holder changes, the new account holder would need to go through the application process. Those credits don't transfer as the property owner changes. And I think that was what I wanted to cover.
Thank you, Alicia. We appreciate you covering that. We really thought it was important for our business community to hear about the different credits that are available, so that you can start preparing and be ready when the credit opportunities do open up. But with that, we are happy to open up any questions that people may have about the credit manual. Please raise your hand again, and we will recognize you. We're going to start off with Billy Rowland was the first one to raise their hand.
Good morning. You guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Morning. Alicia, super nice to meet you
Good
via
to meet you.
email. I've heard great things about you and look forward to working with you. Appreciate your time. On the credit, and I may have missed this if I do, I know that we're going to be submitting that to you and your team and looking at that. Is the credit, is that on an annual basis we need to do that, or is it a 5-year? And I may have missed that.
Well, it'll depend on which credit it is. So some of them have a 1-year term, some have a 5-year term.
Okay.
Roman, can you go back a couple slides to show that? Because that was kind of shown on the slide. Yeah, that kind of shows that you see credit term year. That'll tell you how often those have to get renewed, Billy.
Okay. So it could be annual, it could be 5 years. It just depends upon, what's approved. Is that correct?
Right. Yes. And like I said, I think, for the majority of our non-residential customers, the first one on the unified stormwater criteria is probably going to be the most utilized credit, I would imagine. And that one is a 5-year term.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next person, I'm going to apologize, I'm going to butcher their name, but Ms. Katala?
Yes, thank you
Or
for
Mr.
allowing me
Katala? I'm sorry, sir.
to. No problem. So my question is, with regard to regional detentions that are planned in the future, will they be planned in a way that, let's say, commercial properties that have constraints can buy stormwater credits, for instance, in lieu of, providing any detention or any water quality management on their property? That's my only question.
Judy, do you want to answer that one?
Sure, I will. I don't perceive that there would be a way to buy stormwater credits. We haven't done any studies as of yet to determine where these future regional detention facilities might be. So we don't know where they will be or could be in the future, but I do know that there are other utilities that sometimes partner with a commercial property that's maybe doing new construction and partner with them to take the detention that they are trying to do for that project and make it into a more regional facility that serves other project properties as well, and partners in the cost and shares in the cost. So there might be some cost sharing with respect to building detention that commercial properties could benefit from, but I don't know that there would be any kind of like future stormwater credits. But we'll have to see how the program develops as we start getting funding and can start looking at where we need these regional facilities.
Additional questions on the credit manual? Chris Wasserman.
All right, good morning again, and great to meet you. So 60-day review timeline from submittal of application. How long do you anticipate that actual review process will take for you to get to an approval or declination?
Well, I would definitely like to under promise and over deliver. Um, obviously our staff has a lot going on. And I would, this is, we're not sure the volume of these that we're going to get and have to review.
That was going to
So,
be my next question.
right. We don't know what we don't know yet. I would definitely like to get them reviewed faster than 60 days. But I'd like to see what we're dealing with before being able to commit to something less. But we'll certainly be making it a priority. We know that people are going to be looking to try to get this approved as quickly as possible. But I want to be realistic on our workload and balance.
Sure. But once you do review them, is it an easy analysis that only takes, a day or a week, or how long is that actual review process?
That is something that I'll have to talk with our stormwater staff about. And yeah, we haven't really got an answer for that at this moment, but I would assume as long as all the documentation is there, it should go fairly quickly. When you're looking at hydrology reports and things like that, that can take a little bit longer. But something like a septic tank maintenance credit is going to be pretty easy. But I do imagine filtering through all the information, even checking our records. If it's, if it's a pond that's recent and we have all the documentation, that's going to go pretty quickly as long as we have the verification that everything's being maintained. It's going to be a case by case basis.
And is it one application per credit, or
No.
is it is?
One property owner will submit one application and can apply for multiple credits, but obviously no more than the 40%
Apply
total.
for multiple credits on one application. They don't have
Mhm.
to do an application for each one.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
And-
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, you already alluded to maybe the resource constraints. I was going to be curious, was this going to require the addition of new staff, or was this going to be on the responsibility of the current staff? And if you anticipated any additional resource needs to, do these reviews.
We're actually in the process of getting another engineer position opened. So we hope to have some additional staff on board. Until that happens, it's going to be our existing staff. And then, of course, through the stormwater fee, we do have the ability to hire another engineer. So our engineers are going to be the ones that are probably looking at this mostly, along with probably our stormwater division manager.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No problem. I do want to go back to the exceeds GSMM. That was something that I meant to provide a little more detail on, because that one is going to be very much, that's going to take a little more effort to evaluate. Things that can qualify, and these are examples, not necessarily limited to, but things that we would consider qualifying for this credit would be if you're providing additional runoff reduction, or if stream buffers, if you are allowing a larger stream buffer than the county is requiring. And then this next one is a big one, and I want to kind of talk about is right now you're not required to provide detention for offsite runoff. And I think one of the ways that we're going to hopefully start addressing flooding is that if property owners are willing, or developers are willing to start accepting that offsite runoff and building and designing their detention ponds to accommodate for that, then that would be something we would consider exceeds the standards. And we would want to reward that through an above and beyond credit, up to 50%.
Thank you, Alicia. Before we get to the next question, I just want to also kind of piggyback on something that was said and make sure everyone understands. When this goes live, I do anticipate that the water systems will receive a substantial number of credit applications. So at least, and it's going to be in waves, because if you think about this, if a lot of the terms are for 5 years, it's not going to be like a constant barrage on the water system. It'll be more like timing of when these different credits are either annually or every 5 years reviewed to be an impact on the how quickly they can get these turned around for us. So,
right.
Do you agree with that, Judy and Alicia?
I do believe that we are going to have a heavy wave in the beginning, and it will slow down a little bit, and I think, become more stable after that. But I do expect the first couple, at least the first few months, probably to be very busy.
Any additional questions for Alicia or Judy? All right, seeing none, I will hand the microphone back to Amanda Seals.
Great. Thank y'all so much for joining us today. Looks like we're going to end a little bit early and give you some time back. But just as a reminder, if you have any questions about this policy that was passed, please email Alicia and Judy at swfunding@cobbcounty.gov. And they will respond to you as quickly as they can. We will be putting these slides and the recording up on our website, as well as distributing it out through email. And it will be here as a resource in case you need to go back and look at some of the information that was presented. But happy to partner with the county on this so that our business community can be more educated about the credit process. With that, I will thank you all once again for being here and wish you a good day. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.